Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Tech Conversations. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to check out Lux Algo. Lux Algo has some of the best trading indicators and AI agent for backtesting used by over 15,000 traders, including myself. I've covered many of their indicators on this channel in the past, and I'll actually show you one here later in this video. Right now, you can get 30% off the annual plan, so go ahead and check out Lux Algo. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Also, make sure to check out the Discord, completely free to join. So I'll put a link to it in the description below as well. Now let's get right into today's video. So today I want to take a look at the chart for SPY. But first, let's take a look here at the week ahead very quickly. So let's start by taking a look at the most anticipated earnings this week. So where can you find that? So one place is inside our Discord here. So if you go to our Discord and you go under this resources tab, you will see an earnings calendar channel. So if you go here every single week, we post the most anticipated earnings for the upcoming weeks. Let's take a look here at the most anticipated earnings for the week beginning June 23rd, 2025. So as you can see, pretty quiet week. There are some big names like FedEx, Micron, and Nike, but overall a pretty slow week it looks like in terms of earnings. So here are the most anticipated earnings this week. Let's also quickly take a look at the economic calendar for this week. So where can you find that? Again, under the resources tab, there is an economic calendar channel here. So we post this every single week, the upcoming week's major US economic reports and Fed speakers. So let's take a look here. So again, June 23rd through June 27th, there are a couple of different reports as you can see here. So again, things like this could definitely affect the stock market. One thing I want to point out is Jerome Powell here will be testifying to the House Financial Service Committee. This is on Tuesday, June 24th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So you have it, the most anticipated earnings in this week's economic calendar. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the chart for SPY. So for that, we're going to head on over to TradingView. So I'll put a link to TradingView in the description below. Really great charting tool. As you can see, we're looking at SPY today and we are on the daily chart here. So let's first take a look at one of Lux Algo's technical indicators. This is going to be their signals and overlays indicator. And again, I've made an entire video covering this indicator. There's so many different pieces to this indicator, so I'll just go over some of the pieces here very quickly. So this indicator comes with confirmation and exit signals. That's one piece. So these signals aim to confirm any potential action a trader might take. And remember, you should use these in confluence with other indicators. So for example, here we can see this confirmation signal. This was a red confirmation signal. So if you were looking to short SPY, that could have potentially helped you confirm. And as you can see, SPY did draw back quite a bit. And then like I mentioned, we have the exit signals here. So those will be shown as X's here. So, if you did go ahead and take action, these could potentially help you find areas to potentially exit your trade. Same thing with the green confirmation signals here. Here's an example. So you can see SPY rallied hard after this here. And as you can see, there are some exit signals. So that's one piece there. It also comes with this smart trail feature. As you can see, kind of this red and blue shaded area. So this could potentially help you with finding the current trend. So generally, if price is under the smart trail, that could indicate we're in a downtrend. If price is above our smart trail, that could indicate we're in an uptrend. And also these shaded areas in the smart trail could potentially help you find areas of resistance or, support here. So that's how you could potentially use that. And also lastly, we have these reversal zones. So this red area above, this green area below. So this could be potential areas for reversals, right? So for example, here, you could see it went into this reversal zone and it reversed. So again, that's how you could potentially use this indicator. It could be useful. So go ahead and check out Luxalgo. Now let's get into a couple of other things here. So let's remove this indicator here. The first thing I want to bring up here is something that I've seen a lot of people talk about. So I just want to quickly talk about this here myself as well. So let's go ahead and draw a line here. So I'm going to draw it starting here. This was back in January of this year. And then I'm going to draw something that looks like that right there. So going from January to about, mid-February here. So notice this line is sloping a little bit upwards here. Now we have the RSI indicator down below here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also draw a line on the RSI from that same time frame. So starting January here and almost end of January to again about mid-February here. So what do you notice about this line on the RSI? This line is sloping downwards. So we have price for SPY was going up, but the RSI was going down. What is that? That is known as bearish RSI divergence. So potential weakening buying momentum and potential price reversal. That's what it could potentially indicate to us, right? So price is making higher highs, but RSI is forming lower highs. And so this is bearish RSI divergence, like the name suggests, a potential bearish indicator. And if we take a look what happened after this, we can see SPY pulled back a ton here. Now there were many different reasons this happened, but that's what some people are looking for. Now why do I bring this up? Because if we take a look now at recent time, we can see if we start here, mid-May to about, mid-June here, we see again price going higher here. So what has the RSI indicator done in this exact same time? RSI again is actually sloping downwards. So some people are worried that we might potentially be seeing another bearish RSI divergence signal here. And as you can see, actually price has already, pulled back slightly. So some people, are thinking maybe we'll see maybe not as big of a pullback, but maybe something like this here with this bearish RSI divergence signal, especially with what's going on right now. But again, you should never just rely on one signal, one indicator. You should be looking at many different things. But I did want to point this out because, again, I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here, and I'm going to go ahead and add the 200-day simple moving average and the 50-day simple moving average, and I'll explain why. So the other thing I wanted to mention here, let me actually also remove the RSI here. So the other thing I wanted to mention here is if price does continue to head higher here for SPY, if we continue to form these higher highs, one thing to watch out for is a golden cross. So remember, the golden cross is a bullish technical indicator that signals a potential upward trend. So when does this happen? This happens when the 50-day simple moving average, which is this red line here, crosses above the 200-day simple moving average, which is this blue line right here. So notice it's getting close here to crossing above the 200-day simple moving average. So the 50-day getting close to crossing above the 200-day simple moving average. That would be a golden cross, which again is generally looked at as a bullish indicator. But again, you should not only be using this indicator, you should be using it in conjunction with other forms of analysis. Now, what happened last time we saw a golden cross, and when was that? So firstly, I want to mention right back in, if we take a look here April, we actually had the opposite. We had a death cross. So a death cross is when the 50-day simple moving average crosses below the 200-day simple moving average, like right here. Now, what happened when we got this last death cross? SPY went from 539 to about 508. That's the lowest it got. So it did drop 6% after the death cross. We had talked about it back in April. And now again, we're potentially looking at now forming the golden cross. So when was the last time we saw a golden cross here on SPY? Let's take a look here. So if we go back, keep going back here. Where do we see the first golden cross? Right here. So this was February 2nd of 2023. So it's been over 2 years since we last saw a golden cross. Now what happened last time we saw a golden cross? I think SPY was at around 416. And before we saw the next death cross after that, SPY hit a high of 613. So it increased 47%. So again, that's something to keep an eye out for. We could potentially see a golden cross here very soon if price continues to head higher, and that's definitely something a lot of people are watching out for. So let me know what you think is going to happen. Is SPY going to head higher, or is it going to pull back? If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Check out the Discord, a link to that in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time.